She's a...
The Combat Cast, Episode 3, featuring Daniel Kerr. And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Combat Cast. Today I have a super cool guest from the land of the long white cloud, Aotearoa, Mr. Daniel Kerr. Hello Daniel.
Hello sir.
For those that haven't heard of Daniel before, he is a former Muay Thai world champion and Tae Kwon Do, is that correct?
Tae Kwon Do,
Tae Kwon Do, world champion.
I should say ITF, Tae Kwon Do.
ITF, Tae Kwon Do, yep. He's had over 132 fights, or 132 fights to be precise.
Yep. 132 fights.
So he has got a lot of experience. He's been fighting out here in Thailand and living out here for quite a long time. He's literally fought the best of the best in his weight category, so you name them, he's fought them, and he's been in there with everyone pretty much. He's fought on all the top promotions, so it's an honor to have him here on the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Daniel, first and foremost, I just wanted to ask you, how did your journey in martial arts begin? How did it all start?
9 years old, I went along to a Taekwondo grading because my brother was doing Taekwondo at the time.
Okay.
And eight years old I was, I think, at the time. And I ended up, there was a grading going on for, I think he was going for his blue belt, and I ended up running around, playing around at the back. And I remember one of the instructors telling me to go sit down. And he came up and whispered in my ear and said, oh, maybe you should come along next week, you know. So I did, and that kind of set it off.
So your brother was doing his grading to get a new belt?
Yeah, for a blue belt I think it was at the time. Yeah.
Okay, and then you're just there and like restless, and the instructor kind of was like, whoa, this kid's got a lot of energy, you should come and join too.
Pretty much.
So that's kind of where it all began. From there you kind of went on and competed in Taekwondo?
Yeah,
right.
Competed as much as I could, you know. I didn't really enjoy how can I explain that? I didn't really enjoy the patterns and the forms and you have to do things like this and have your shoulders like this and block like this. And so I wanted to compete, and I competed a lot over the 10 years until I was about 18, I think, when I stopped doing. So yeah.
Wow. So for quite a while you were just competing in Taekwondo?
Yeah, about 10 years or so.
And you kind of kept those kicks in your game, in your arsenal, haven't you?
I love them. The spinning is, well, how can I say? I get off on spinning around and kicking people in the head. I won't lie. It's really fun. It's really fun to be able to spin around and feel you've just kicked someone in the head, and then you see what you've just done. And you kind of integrated Taekwondo into a more traditional Muay Thai style, and I would say you're a good example of someone that can kind of switch between the two quite fluidly. I'd like to think so. It was tricky because switching into Muay Thai, it's the complete opposite as far as stand-up goes. You know? But yet so many of the things are very relatable. A lot of the techniques are done from Taekwondo are actually done in Muay Thai, but there's just slight tweaks to them, you know? Just for example, your starting stance, being in a slightly different position, your hip angle of hips. Yeah, things like that.
Taekwondo has got traditionally a much more side-on stance, right?
Yes.
And they have like that kind of like long, in Thai they would say like a side teep.
Well, the Taekwondo use their side kick like Thais use a teep. You know, keep away, keep there. I want you find a range finder. Taekwondo, which was actually very helpful for me for finding range on people.
When was the first time that you actually came up against someone? So you'd done all your Taekwondo training. When was the first time that you like sparred or fought against someone from another discipline like that wasn't Taekwondo?
First time?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been in my younger competing Taekwondo days. We used to go to this town that was called Tapanui in the South Island. And it was the greatest traditional martial arts tournament you could imagine, because they'd invite
all the martial art clubs from around pretty much the South Island.
Wow.
And,
cool.
and you'd have everything there.
Yeah.
And it was we look forward to it every year, you know.
Yeah.
And just all the different rules and stuff, and it's still going now.
Yeah.
That was I had some friends at a karate club. They sent their kids there this year, so it's still going.
Man, that sounds sick.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just a congregation of all these different martial arts.
Yep. And everyone. I've never seen. Well, the how many years did I compete there? 5. Over the 4 or 5 years that I competed in it, there's never any trouble with aggro or anger. That's also probably very thankful to Gabriel. Gabriel, he runs it. I don't know if you know that name, but he runs it, and he's just such a humble, respectful man in the art of, I think it's Goju Karate. He initially trains himself in his club. I believe, I'm not too sure which karate. I'm pretty sure it's Goju. But just his humbleness. And you could see everyone, you know, everyone was so keen, but at the same time there's so much humbleness and happiness, and everyone was just there to have a good time and do their best, really. So
wicked, man. Cool. Bro, that sounds awesome. So how did you, so that's kind of where your martial arts journey began. How did you end up in Muay Thai? Like, how did you get into Muay Thai?
I was 16, 17, about to finish high school, and it was at the time when Mark Hunt and Ray Sefo were dominating the K1.
Okay.
And the prize money was $1 million, you know?
Wow.
And I looked at that, and I had seen the movie Bloodsport with Van Damme. Yeah. Van Damme went to Thailand and trained for 2 months, and then went and beat the world champion, Tom Poe. Yeah. So I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, flip.
No, it's fine.
I was like, flip yeah. I'm going to go train in Thailand for 2 months, then go win the K1. That was my plan, because I'd already won a world title, you know, in Tae Kwon Do. I was like, oh, I'm the man. I'm pretty full of myself as a 17-year-old. The plan was to go to Thailand for 2 months, become famous, get invited to Japan for the K1, win it. This is the heavyweight division, by the way. Win it, get $1 million, and then retire from fighting and invest that $1 million to make billions and billions of dollars, and then save the world. That was my plan.
That sounds like a really good plan.
Oh, it was a great plan. It's got me where I am today, and I'm happy. So I ain't gonna complain. I haven't saved the world yet.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly. Work in progress. It's just taking a bit longer than I thought. That's it.
Cool. So when you came out to Thailand, where did you originally kind of start your journey in Muay Thai?
Chiang Mai.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I was straight to Lana. I had a friend, Blake Thompson. From went to the same school as me. He was finishing high school when I was starting high school, and we had trained. We had mucked around at a local gym. Like a local fitness gym together when we saw each other there a couple of times, and he was telling me he was going to Thailand. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Well, and that was just the easiest. You know, I had that connection there. He told me Chiang Mai was a great place, and I followed him up there because it was so much. Well, I guess it was just less hassle than looking around places that I knew nothing about. Plus, I didn't.
So how old were you when you first came to Thailand?
18.
18. Okay.
18, 19.
Okay.
18, 19.
So you first got here when you were 18. You started training. Initially, how was it? You know, transitioning from like, you know, your Tae Kwon Do and other martial arts and mucking around in New Zealand, and then coming out to Thailand and going to the camp. How was that initial first period of time when you just got here and you're just adapting to a new routine? Yeah. Super
exciting, but again, I was a super ignorant little kid. Okay. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I believed I knew more than the best because I already had a gold medal at the World Champs.
I see.
So, the simple things like the heat and training on a concrete floor and having to wear shorts, you know.
What about the actual training itself, like the techniques and everything that you're learning?
So much different. I had to get taught how to punch properly.
That's quite a big one for Tae Kwon Do practitioners, right?
Yeah, because they punch. I won't go into detail about WTF punching, but the ITF punching, they get told to punch with locked shoulders. Okay. Because you're doing a form. Yeah. and you have to, so your shoulders can't go out, which that's like a half punch. You know, a punch should come all the way out here with your shoulder extended.
Full rotation.
Yeah,
of the shoulders.
it took me a while to learn that. Also, the big thing was was the round kick, the classic Muay Thai round kick. Changing from the Tae Kwon Do round kick, which I thought I was really strong. I thought I was a strong kicker using my foot, but I was super fast. My kicks were super fast because of Tae Kwon Do, and I was like one of the fastest kickers. And over the first year or so, my kicks had to get slowed all the way down because they had no power. I mean, you can say, well, speed is power, but you know, slapping someone isn't power. And I had to change my whole technique in my kick, and it took, I would have said, a good year and a half of slowing my kick all the way down before I was able to speed it back up again.
So you had to recreate the foundations in terms of the technique.
Definitely. Yeah, the whole kick. I mean, I can still do a Tae Kwon Do kick. I can still do it, but it's silly and it's not effective at all.
Right.
But
you definitely kept the like axe kicks and the spinning heel kicks. Oh yes,
because I mean a spinning heel. Let's be honest, a spinning heel kick to someone's jaw is going to mess them up.
That's 100%.
Guaranteed. Same with my kick. I like to call the waving dragon.
Okay.
I believe it has well, I did back in the day, but I believe it has it has a technical term like a 360 turning kick or something like that. But you know that. Again, that kick, it looks marvelous and super powerful. You know, even when people block it, it still puts them across the ring. So,
amazing. And what about your first fight in Thailand? Like, how was that? Like going into the ring. I mean, how did you feel about fighting in Thailand compared to all the other fights that you had?
Well, I had a bunch of Tae Kwon Do before, and I had two fights before that in New Zealand.
Okay. Muay Thai?
One was a kickboxing K1 rules, and the other one was a full contact Kyokushin fight in a ring.
Okay.
So it was paid, it was all pro, but it was no head punches. So it's what it is.
Yeah.
But it was still
good. That's a Kyokushin way, right? You can kick in the head, but you can't punch, right?
No.
And it's bare knuckle too.
Bare knuckle, so my first fight, it was intense. I was no more or no less excited than I was, or no more adrenaline or no less than I was for any other competition.
Yeah.
But the things I learned that fight just changed my whole perception of what fighting was.
In what way?
Well, to start with, the guy I was fighting was a short, fat little tuk-tuk driver.
Right.
And I spent 5 rounds thinking I was kicking the shit out of him. And at the end of the fight, when the bell goes ding, 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 this short, fat little tuk-tuk driver is just walking normally, happy as ever, walking over to the judge. We've got our hands there, and I'm realizing, oh my God, I can't feel my legs. My shins are completely bashed. My feet have swollen up the size of watermelons because I'd been kicking this guy with my feet, slapping his feet all day long for 5 rounds, bam, 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 and my feet were shattered from his shins. And I'm thinking, I'm landing points. I was in a lot of pain, so I was the one who limped out of that ring, and this is why I lost that fight.
So he won that fight?
And then he won the fight, and he just stood there. He literally stood there against the ropes for 5 rounds, going, teep, touch, and just standing like this and just smiling at me. And every time I kicked him, he'd just smile there and say, he wouldn't attack forward, he'd just stand there. But I was hurting myself on him, and it was blatantly obvious. It wasn't until like a few days later when I realized, of course he won that fight, because I'm still in pain. I was still in pain 2 weeks later, whereas I'm sure he was back to work the next day doing what he did.
Just chilling along. So, as we both know, Muay Thai has scored a lot on effect.
Effect, exactly.
Effect. So basically, because your attacks weren't effective or ineffective, they gave him the win.
They mean nothing. He stood there and checked, and in pain dealt. One they score big on who's dealt the more pain. And I was
so you kind of dealt yourself the most pain.
Exactly. I bent myself up on him. And because he, like I say, sure he was a short, fat tuk-tuk driver, but when he was younger, he had 300-400 plus fights. So his bones and his body
condensed.
You weren't going to hurt that. You had to you had to hit that dude in the head. But his hands would stay there the whole time. So
So that was that would have been quite
it was a wake-up call,
a learning curve for you, right?
Very much so. It's also the main reason, because of the first time I was in Thailand, I was only there for 2.5 months, and then I ran out of money went to England, worked for a year, and the main reason I came back was because of that one fight, because of that short little fat Thai guy who I bet myself up on. He was the reason I ended up coming back to Thailand and ended up staying.
So this is quite funny if you look at it. It's like you got this young guy. He's like a world.
I was buff too, man.
Yeah.
I was big at the time. I was one of the biggest I'd ever been.
And you're world champion Tae Kwon Do. Yeah, and then you come over to Thailand. You start training. You're like, yeah, man, I've got this. You jump in the ring with this fat tuk-tuk driver, and you just get punished purely because you just haven't got the same technique. Yeah, and then he wins, and then I can imagine that would have put like quite a big fire inside of you, right? To like come back.
It made me want to understand what was going on back in Thailand. Because I had one more fight in Thailand that first 2 months. But that was against a dude from Lebanon. And that wasn't a problem.
Right.
So I went to England. They had a bunch of fights over there.
Oh, you had a few fights in England too?
Yeah, had five or six over there, I think.
Professional or?
4 of them were, I think.
Okay.
A bunch of them were because I got paid for some of them. But,
and how do they go? Like, how was it fighting in England?
I fought over there because the gym I was at was a traditional kickboxing gym, so there was no kicking below the belt.
Okay.
But after I had 3 or 4 fights of that, that's like the old school 80s kickboxing, but it was still around in the 90s. More shit, it might even still be around now.
I think it is.
The Wacko guys do it, I think.
Oh, okay.
W-A-K-O. Yeah, I think they just did it. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah.
Fighting in England.
Oh, in England. So I had three, 4 of those fights, and then they were like, wow, we're going to give you a fucking leg kick fight. I had one, and that was the most fun I've ever had in a fight. Was that fight because I was able to throw my cool Tae Kwon Do stuff, and the other guy wasn't a Muay Thai fighter. But yeah, that story doesn't.
So then you came back to Thailand.
Yep, came back.
And then the second time you came back, how long did you stay in Thailand for?
4 years before I went back to New Zealand for a quick holiday. Yeah,
wow, so you went Thailand, England, Thailand for 4 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was out of the country for five and a bit. Yeah,
that's a long time, man. Yeah. But I can imagine it would have just flown by.
Well, it did now. It feels like that now.
Yeah. So you came back and you were training it. Did you go back to the same gym?
Went back to the same gym.
Okay.
I had because I had such a good rapport with some of the trainers there, and there was a few other reasons for liking it. Chiang Mai was, I'm not a city person. I want trees around me. So yeah, that was one of the big things at the time.
So did that kind of make it a bit easier for you to live there for such a long time?
Definitely.
Having all that nature
The mountains
were
right there. We had a run every Wednesday, which was up the mountain, which was up through the trees.
Isn't that beautiful, man?
And the end of the run's a giant waterfall. And
were you able to go swimming in it?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it was great. Well, we always would, because you run up, it was about 10 Ks, or 8 to 10 Ks up the mountain, and then down this little track, and you get to the waterfall, and everyone would just be like, sweet.
Yeah, quick dip.
Yeah, man.
And back to the gym.
Yeah, I assume they still do it now.
So do you look back on those times and you're like, man, what a cool time?
Oh, for sure. I've got, it's funny, I have an extremely good memory of the things I've enjoyed. So I'm able to visualize a lot of stuff, which I'm always happy to do. So.
Yeah, that sounds dope. And so you started fighting there in Chiang Mai and building up a bit of a name for yourself.
I had my first 50
in the Muay Thai
fights,
circuits.
First 50 fights there with the couple, because I was doing pretty well there, and then WMC flew me from Chiang Mai, Bangkok, but to I was to Australia a few times back in 2000.
So in the space of 4 years, you had about 50 fights, is that right?
Yep.
Damn, that's
well, I would have only been about 40 something because I was counting my ones in England and counting the two I had, so 40 something.
Okay. Yeah. So that's on average about 10 a year.
First year I had 18, second year I had 21, and then I started to slow down after that because what did I start slowing down? I guess maybe I was just started fighting better people, or
how did you
I started getting paid more as well, so I started slowing down.
How did you find that that amount of just sheer volume and fights on your body? Like, how was that?
Being 19 and 20 helps. Could I do it today? Nah. How was it on the body? The thing was, I had to. because when I came back from England, I mean, I'd saved up a little bit of pound, but I was using that money for rent and other stuff, so I couldn't afford to train. So I literally walked in and said, look, just get me the fights, and I ended up having three fights in my first week. So
3 in 1 week?
Yeah.
Wow.
5 rounders too. But this is back in the day. And
so that would have left you pretty bruised up at the end of that week.
It was. And then I remember the owner of the gym, Andy Thompson. He's at the time just coming up to me, and I was like, because I'd paid for my first month. You got to do that, you know. When you're ever at a new gym, you always pay straight up, no matter how good you think you are, you know. You pay first, and then.
I just want to pause you there 1 second. Yeah. I think you just touched on something quite important. So. Yeah. You know, that's just like a good rule of thumb, I think, for a lot of, you know, fighters coming to Thailand from abroad.
Yeah.
No matter how good you think you are, always pay for your first month.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Exactly. And then over that month, you can prove to them how good you are. That's right. Whether it's through showing them how hard and consistent you train and help the gym, or whether it be just knocking people out. knocking people out.
Knocking people out.
For the gym.
Yeah. Right, okay, cool.
But then that was it, you know. I remember him coming up to me and just going, and I was like, as he was walking up to me, I was like, Andy, I haven't got any money for next month. Can I pay you in a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And he just said, look, man, that was a good last week. Well done. Don't worry anymore. And I was like, oh.
Because you had 3 fights in that 1 week.
Yeah. That was kind of my way of wanting, you know, because I remember after the first one, the trainer, he kind of comes up, or one of the trainers comes up to me and goes, and he's like, oh damn, because I'd been speaking to him about how much I didn't have and stuff. He's like, oh Dan, how would you like to fight tomorrow night? And I was like, yeah, cool, fuck, I'd love to, you know. And then after that one, he comes up the next thing and he's like kind of giggling a little bit. He's like, oh Dan, how would you like to fight this weekend? I was like, okay, you know. So.
And who were you fighting in these fights? Like, was it against Thai or foreigner?
Yeah, Thai. Those 2 were Thai guys.
Right.
I still remember the first two guys. I still remember because I fought one of them another 3 times and the other guy another 2 times as well. And they were brothers. The first 2 guys that I fought were brothers. And how
did those fights go? Like how
good. The first one I won on points, 5 rounds. The second one I stopped him in the 2nd or 4th round. I can't remember that. And the third one I lost on points.
Right. Okay.
So everyone was happy because it was okay.
Yeah.
The third one was in like a country fair fight out in the Wop-Wops.
Cool.
So that was fun. But I lost that one.
Yeah, cool. So this sounds like just like a really like kind of like interesting time, man.
It was an adventure.
In Chiang Mai and stuff. When would you say you kind of reached, like, looking back now, the peak, like the pinnacle of your Muay Thai career? Like, what was going on? Where were you?
2014, I was at Elite, but I had the person who I considered my trainer at the time was 3 people. One was Nugget McNaught. The other was...
That's an Australian guy for the tattoos, right?
Yep. The other was I never knew this boy's name. His name was Joyce, P. Joy or
Joy.
I don't know if you know.
Small Thai guy. Yeah, fighting on MX at the moment.
He was my hand. Yeah, he does. He was my hands coach. You know, helping for boxing.
Yep.
And the other guy I had was I only had him for 2 months at the end of the year, and he was from Phuket. And the only reason I had him is because the head trainer of the gym had gone over to Brazil.
Okay. Is that gay?
Yeah, he'd gone to Brazil.
Okay.
And then so they brought this trainer up from Phuket. He's a super famous trainer. I forget his name. It might come to me. But that was my best year. And under that trainer from Phuket, I had 6 wins that year, six straight wins, and I was killing it. And then unfortunately 2015 came along. And that trainer came back and asked me and told me, and said to me, I'm going to take you under my wing. And I was like, oh, wow, well, I've heard so much good stuff about you as a trainer. I'm not, the guy. Pete, I don't call him Pete, Gay.
Yeah.
He decided he was going to take me under his wing. Mm-hmm. And that year kind of screwed up the rest of my Muay Thai career for at least a couple of years until I left that gym and went to Rompol Gym and restarted my Muay Thai career.
So the trainer that you had from Phuket,
I'll find it on
here.
Yeah,
sure, no worries. So the trainer that you had from Phuket, you found that he was really good. And I think this is interesting. I feel like the fighters and the trainers in Phuket, they have their own kind of specific, unique style. There's like this kind of flair to their technique, and they have these crafty little moves that you just don't see in other areas of Thailand. They might not be as kind of physically, imposing as some of the Bangkok fighters, and maybe like I don't know too much about the fighters in Chiang Mai, but like one thing I noticed with the guys that come from Phuket, I see them as they pass through different gyms that I've been at. They're just very they've got this these sharp little kind of flares and techniques, more just from the south of Thailand.
Yeah.
Looks a bit different stylistically.
That's a very good point. The Bangkok style, northern style and southern style are all very different. And you don't notice it until you've been training for at least a while.
Right.
And then you start to notice that there's clearly big differences between the way they the way they fight. So.
And like someone like Gay has got a very aggressive just punishment type style, high volume. He just kind of
didn't work well with me at all.
Right.
Nah, he
Do you think that he tried to change your style?
Yeah, hard, completely.
Right.
Absolutely changed his. And
so you just won.
You
just won 6 fights in a row.
Yeah, I just won 6 in a row.
And then he tried to change the style.
Yeah, he tried to change my style. And the thing was, the only reason he offered to take me under his wing was because he knew that I was getting a fight with John Wayne Park.
Right.
And it was and he's like, I'll take you under my wing now. And then he changed everything around. But again, now it sounds like I'm putting my excuse for losing
I understand.
On him, which no, that's not, I won't do that. But
it just, and you just brought up another good point, which is the importance of finding a good trainer that suits your style
and understands
and understands you. Because
or at least, because the thing was, I mean, I know for a fact he's a good trainer. That guy.
Yeah.
But he's a good trainer for people who haven't done Muay Thai or who have only done Muay Thai for a couple of years. I had already had 70 odd fights.
Right.
And he's trying to change my style. It's 70 odd fights. Yeah. And he's trying to treat me like a kid, like a goddamn kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm like, I was only a couple of years younger than him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to change my style. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So it didn't end well in that relationship, and that's why I ended up leaving.
That's why you moved to Rompo, right? Yeah. And then how did you find things at Rompo? Did you enjoy that?
Brilliant, man.
Yeah. I'd seen you there for a while,
Yeah, I was there for a good 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
Hold on. 15, 16, no, it was only 2 years. Yeah, 16 because I retired at the end of 17, so 2 years I was there. But no, man, I loved it there. They were good dudes there.
Yeah.
Old P-Let, he's a brilliant trainer, older fella.
Yeah.
But no, he's a great trainer. And
that's a good space that they have down there.
It is.
Okay, so just moving on a little bit now.
No worries.
How has your time in Thailand and Asia shaped your fighting career and your fighting style? How would you say these experiences that you've had out here have kind of shaped you as a fighter?
Well, it's made me understand what fighting is all about. It's made me understand how unnecessary a lot of nonsense in the West is when it comes to fighting. It's helped me to develop a lot of personal emotions, a lot of personal aspects about myself that if I had stayed in the West and trained there, I wouldn't have learned.
What type of things in the West do you think are like what you just said before? The nonsense or the kind of unnecessary factors or parts of the training?
Smack talk. It's a pretty blatant one. It's a pretty obvious one. Respecting your opponents, understanding why your opponent is there in the first place, and he's not there to hate on you and to want to kill you. He's there to beat you up and get paid.
Defeat you in a martial arts contest.
Yeah, and then to be humble with each other afterwards.
Yeah.
What's some other nonsense? The bad mouthing of gyms. I mean, I'm sure it happens in Thailand. I'm sure gyms have wars with other gyms and stuff. But it's so much more noticeable in the West. People bad mouthing other gyms and things. And you don't see Thais gym hopping. You never see Thais gym hopping. But in the West, or in Thailand by Westerners, jumping from gym to gym to gym because this gym's got this trainer who knows a secret, or this gym's got bullshit, man. Find a good gym, stick with it, put in the dedication, learn as much as you can from there. And if and when it comes time for you, if you've surpassed the trainers there, if and when, then move to somewhere else. But you don't do that shit monthly, you know, 4 or 5 years maybe, but not monthly.
I think, and again, you've just touched on another good point there, and that's when you do first come to Thailand, it is important that, you know, if you're coming here and you've got the luxury of being able to train full time and, you know, fight professionally, that you do find a gym that you really enjoy and you get the best out of, and just stick with it. Just ride that wave. Don't go jumping ships
because someone told you that there's some secrets over there,
that's
or
right.
because they've got so and so fighter, or I mean, in saying that, you don't go to the first gym you find and go, right, I'm going to stay here. That'd be stupid. Try it out for a week, you know.
There's a feeling out process.
Feeling out process, you know, but that feeling out process doesn't take that long as well. You know, you can see, it's not hard to see if they care about you or if there's good trainers there. I mean, you can be a complete novice and still know if they care about you or if you're learning or not. You know, you'll know if you're learning after a week. If you've learned nothing after a week, then there's a good chance you might never learn anything. So it might be time to look somewhere else. But at the end of the first couple of weeks, write down some of the shit you've learned and think to yourself, is this working well? Yep, cool, I'm going to stay. That's one of the ones.
Daniel, next question. What would you say, looking back over your, you know, illustrious Muay Thai career, what would you say was your toughest fight in terms of the skill level of the opponent? Who would you say was your hardest fight?
Well, the hardest fight I ever won was, I wish I knew his name, man. They told me at the time he was an ex-Lumpinee champion, and he was a bit lighter than me because he was at a stage where he had finished his Bangkok stadium fighting, you know. He was still young, still strong. He'd had 200 blah fights. I was on about 40 something at the time. And it was at a festival fight, and there was big bets on this fight because I had started to make a little bit of a name in Chiang Mai as this foreigner who could do stuff. And anyway, this guy, he was just at a point now where he was going to start traveling overseas and fight foreigners. So their idea was, put him up against Daniel. Daniel's a foreigner with a foreign style. It'll help him, and it'll help Daniel because this guy's awesome and does really good Muay Thai. Now, I probably had about 4 to 5 kgs on him.
So I can imagine that would be quite a big fight in Chiang Mai.
It was actually on the outskirts. It was in a country fair.
Oh, so that would be
in this guy's little town. It was the biggest fair I've ever seen, man.
Wow.
And the money on the fight was insane. Unfortunately, I didn't put any money into the betting. But I was saying I was like up over 100,000 baht, which at the time for Thais.
In that area too.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people put in for that 100,000 baht because they were poor people in the area. But they were 100,000 baht with the trainers at our gym. So they were making sure I won. So I won that fight on points, and it was. And at that time I just started to learn how to kick properly, and that's what it was. And that was definitely the hardest fight, skill-wise, because I actually still kind of remember thinking about that fight and say, fuck, how did I win that? You know, what was I doing at the time? So probably that one. That was the hardest one I've won.
Wow. So you basically took on an ex-Lumpinee champion.
Like I say, he was wanting to fight in the West, fight bigger guys. So I probably had a good 5 kilos on him though. And, but from my experience in Thailand, that's quite normal. It is quite
just normal. Purely because of that giant experience gap between Thais and foreigners.
That was the whole theory. And that's why he was cool, because he's like, you've only had 40 fights, sweet. That's right. But it was very noticeable. A couple of times, I remember at the fights, him doing things that made me look like a fool. You know, and if it wasn't for me continuously putting pressure on him for the next 5 rounds, I wouldn't have won, just for the fact he'd
So you just kept that constant pressure. I had to, and it just kind of wore him down a bit.
I remember at the time, it was basically because my trainers were screaming at me and making sure that it was also me, because I believed it, but But yeah, there's a lot of, Daniel, you better get this job done
Right,
because there's some shit lying on you.
There's 100K on your ass, man.
It's a big party if and if it doesn't happen, then there'll be trouble.
Man, that's awesome, man. Okay, so how do you feel combat sports has evolved in a positive way? I know there's a lot of things that, you know, we're talking earlier that you don't like, but how do you feel it has evolved the game itself of combat sports since you started, you know, back in
2004.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
15 years.
So how, like, what are like the kind of like significant things that you would say?
The ability to fight, and you know, a much more the ability to find fights. Whereas before, 15 years ago, especially in the West, you couldn't find fights. You know, you once a year, you know, a couple of times a year. In Asia, especially, it's evolved immensely. Just there's so many more organisations now. Like back when I was living in Chiang Mai, we got TV fights, but they're on these huge shows that you'd have to travel across the country to.
I see.
And then they put you up for a couple of nights, and then you get a TV fight. Now, I mean, there's
TV fights all over the show.
There's so many different organisations. Max, K1,
Super Champ,
Thai Fight, Super Champ,
Thai Fight,
MX, all the different ones. And there's popularity. I mean, the popularity in Thailand was always huge, but I think.
Would you say it's more popular now? These shows. Or was it popular, even more popular before?
I couldn't say in Thailand, man.
Right.
You'd have to find some statistics on Thailand. But in the West, I think obviously a lot more popular thanks to UFC. Boxing's got great again. Boxing, especially heavyweight boxing, is popular again thanks to the likes of Tyson Fury and
Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so entertaining now. You know, with good skill.
Yeah.
It's not like entertaining in the way of smack talk and stuff. It's entertaining in the way of proper boxing.
Proper performance.
Good boxers, So that's why it's good to watch again.
How do you think mixed martial arts has, what's the word, brought Muay Thai into the mainstream?
Oh, heaps, man, heaps. I mean, Muay Thai is never going to be anywhere near as popular as MMA for obvious reasons, but...
Why do you think that is?
Because it's only Muay Thai.
Just out of curiosity,
It's only Muay Thai.
Right.
I mean, that's no offense to Muay Thai, but it's only Muay Thai.
Yeah.
People want everything.
Yeah.
And that's what MMA is. It's everything. That's real. It's as close as you can get to real fighting.
Right.
You know, without having a real fight.
Yeah.
It's the closest you can get to real fighting with respect and honor. You know, you can't get that in other places. It's just that's it.
Right. And do you think having so many of these fighters now in MMA promotions like ONE and UFC that have Muay Thai as their foundation, do you think that really helps to put the spotlight on Muay Thai?
Definitely, and especially when you hear commentators say things like, "Oh, that's a Muay Thai knee or a Muay Thai this."
Muay Thai clinch,
and even when it's not, they still mention it, and it has people going, "Oh wow, what's Muay Thai?" Then they go on Google and they go and find out about it, and they go, "Wow, I can go to a holiday in Thailand for a month and learn some Muay Thai." So they do. And that's one of because that's a big industry that's picked up a lot in Thailand, is foreigners coming for Muay Thai. I mean, I'm sure you'd be able to find statistics somewhere through Thai immigration about foreigners coming in and their reason for coming.
True.
And the number of people who have come here for Muay Thai would have skyrocketed, I'm sure. Because I mean, just look at the gyms. Chiang Mai, for example, the amount of gyms that had foreigners in it when I went there, maybe 4 with maybe another 2 sneaky ones. We might have had like 1 foreigner, but now there's like. I couldn't say 15, 20 odd gyms with heaps of foreigners at them, and they're mostly foreigners. Whereas back in the day it was mostly Thais with a few foreigners, but now it's mostly foreigners at the gyms with 1 or 2 awesome Thais. Yeah. And that's a common thing that's happened.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? How it's kind of just developed like that. Because I remember when I came here in 2008, you'd see like a foreigner in just a herd of Thais, like one foreigner. You kind of like make eye contact, like, "Hey, sup, bro?" Like, like you're out here too, kind of thing. But now you're right, like you see gyms where it's pretty much all predominantly foreigners, right?
In the last 10, 12 years, man. Straight up, because everyone wants to live that dream, and especially back in Well, from my generation and the one slightly before it, you know, seeing movies like Bloodsport and Kickboxer and stuff, you know, that's the thing. You see that, you go to Thailand, that's the one.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like your whole idea and like, you know, kind of like fantasy of going to Thailand is very different to nowadays, right?
Very.
Because people see MMA now and they're like, oh, I want to go and be like that guy, you know, like my idol. I want to go and train and fight like him. Whereas you just, like a lot of other people, you know, that I know, they just watch Bloodsport or Kickboxer or whatever on TV, on the movies, and they're like, oh, that's sick, I want to go there, you know?
That's the thing, those movies, they didn't earn millions of dollars in those movies.
No.
They didn't get millions. In those movies, they did it for the pride and the girl.
Yeah.
That's why we did it. We did it for the pride, the honor, and the girl.
Yeah.
You know? Straight up, man. That was the dream. That was the dream. Become a world champion fighter, earn millions, and get girls. That was it. That was the dream back in the day.
That's the dream, man. When you're growing up, right?
But the dream's not that anymore. That's not the dream anymore, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it kind of is.
It kind of is, but more so focusing on the money side of things.
Yeah.
And the fame, and I can become a celebrity, and then I can start. And it's all about the celebrityship. Becoming a celebrity,
So would you say like the raw kind of foundations of being a martial artist is getting lost nowadays?
Yep, definitely. I'd agree on that. Whether or not it's being changed into something else, it's a good thing or a bad thing is up for debate, I guess. But there is a lot missing. But then I don't want it to sound like I'm an old guy saying, oh, the youth that don't know what they're talking about. The youth are messing things up. Like, no, it's not like that.
I think one positive thing that I've seen, Daniel, is that people are now starting to adopt more and more martial arts.
Yep.
And they're starting to like, you know, learn them and practice them and, you know, really fulfill the art to its true form among with many other arts.
Also, on that note, one of the best things that the progression of martial arts has done is washed away a lot of nonsense. And nonsense as in, unfortunately, a lot of the traditional crap that just has no use in a real fight. You know, you see those happen, or it had been happening in China a lot. You know, the kung fu master, the old kung fu master gets in a ring with an MMA fighter and gets his ass beat. And it needed to happen. It needed to happen, man, because these ways aren't.
Well, you have like the invisible, like chi
that sort of
fighters.
Shit. There was too much of that back in the day because these cunts wouldn't fight, wouldn't actually take a hit. So that's definitely one of the good things.
All their like disciples are just so brainwashed. They just kind of do whatever they're told.
People questioning shit has been a marvelous for the future of martial arts.
Right.
People questioning the lies, people questioning, you know, not doing shit just because they get told to, you know. People wanting to know why I should do this. And wanting to see how effective it is. And thanks to the internet,
what's the application of this?
Yeah, what's the application? I want to see if it works. Show me it works and then I'll go learn it. Instead of you tell me it works and then I'll go do it. So that's definitely a positive for the youth folding things over. But I guess that's also thankful to a lot of dudes coming over to Asia and with footage and showing people. So
I've seen a lot of these people lately that go to like these different dojos, traditional dojos, and they actually like challenge the master, and they've got like more of an MMA background. You can really see like the Western boxing and like the Muay Thai and stuff, and a bit of wrestling or jiu-jitsu, and they challenge these guys and they just obliterate them. And it's quite sad to watch, but at the same time, even the masters of the dojo are brainwashed to thinking that they can just annihilate anyone. And they just get knocked out.
I mean, it had to happen. I mean, I can't think of anything on the spot in other scenarios where that's happening. But I know it is. I mean, you look at...
It's all over the show.
There's different things, different stuff where the progression is changing because people, like you say, now there's footage of what, now there's facts. None of this fake news nonsense.
And you can see in the UFC too, just what arts really stand out.
Exactly. All UFC is a perfect example. I mean, okay, sure, you can't slam someone's head on a concrete floor and, you know, there's all of that, but that's irrelevant. You know? It's not fighting. It's not honourable fighting. That's trying to kill a man because you're in a death situation.
So Daniel, just moving on again.
No worries.
What for you kind of makes a perfect fight camp? Like if you look back over your fight camps, what things really have contributed to you performing your best? You know, just in terms of the training routine, everything, man. Looking at all the different factors. What type of things do you think have given you the perfect fight camp?
Definitely having enough time before the fight is a huge one.
What would be the optimal amount of time for you?
Oh man, well,
to get ready for a fight?
It depends. When was my last fight? You know, that's the thing. You got to also think when was your last fight?
That's a good.
You got to heal.
Call.
But for a Muay Thai fight back in the day, I would have wanted minimum for one that I really cared about. You know, I'd want minimum 6 weeks.
Right. That was the number I had in my head.
Yeah, minimum.
I don't want to say it. I was just waiting to see.
That's a minimum, though. I mean,
minimum, yeah.
6 to 8 weeks is a good camp. But again, if you're coming into that 8 weeks unfit, then you need another, maybe add another 2 weeks on to get fitness up.
Right.
Whereas if you're coming into the camp fit and ready already, then 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. Eight weeks.
But yeah, if you're unfit, then you need another month, then you need 3 months.
Right.
So
a month to build up the fitness, and then 8 weeks to kind of streamline it up to a peak.
Yeah, exactly. And rising like that, you know, you don't want to be like this.
So firstly is the duration.
Yeah.
What other factors?
Having trainers who understand where you're at and understand what it is you need to do, and also having trainers who understand science as well, and who understand when injuries matter, you know, because I mean, it's one thing to be a hard-ass trainer and tell people, gotta go, but you don't, you know, that's very unbeneficial if an injury cannot help you. You know, sorry, if you're injured to a point where it's detrimental to your technique. You know, then you're just going backwards.
Right.
So that's a big one. Is trainers that understand science. I would put it like that. Trainers that understand science.
So they have a progressive mindset towards training.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think that is another kind of old school mindset where, you know, someone's injured and it's just like, oh, harden up your pussy, you know, like just push through it, you know, like oh, back in my day, you know, or you know, when I was coming up, I had injuries everywhere, but I just kept going, you know, but you know, at the end of the day, though, you're right.
Especially now, especially in this day and age when people are putting so much money into their camps, you know, they're coming out perfect, and you're going into a fight with a bung leg. It's no good for anyone, you know. So there's a lot of that. Trainers understand where you're at. Big one, not having distractions outside of the fight camp. So when you're outside of the gym, not having too many distractions, whether it be people of the opposite sex wanting you to go out and party, whether it be work taking up too much time, and not even physical work, you know, mental work, stressing you out, putting your mind in the wrong place. Right. So that's all being able to focus. What else? Diet, of course. Got to have good diet, man, in the camp. Also, understanding your weight. Again, this is going back to science, but understanding where your weight should be in relation to when the weigh-in is. That's a big one too. Not cutting too early, not cutting too late. Things like that. Right. Making sure you've cut that weight before with enough time to make sure you can do it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess that comes back to the science of of everything. So I guess you could just say, understanding the science and everyone else understanding the science who's around in your little fight circle, in your fight camp. So you all are on the same page of what's going on.
And you look at the most successful fighters and they all have that. They have a team of people around them that all understand everything, the science and the weight cut, the diet, the training, workload, everything, right?
Definitely.
And they're the ones that ultimately do the best.
They succeed, they get it done. Fight camp's huge, man.
All right, man. What I want to ask now is, what advice would you give to fighters that are just starting out in the game, Maybe they've had like a few fights. You know, they're kind of new in the game. They're seeing MMA on TV. They're seeing Muay Thai. They're seeing all these different combat sports. They know that this is where their passion is. They want to get into it. Maybe they're back home in New Zealand or Australia or abroad, America or England, and they're wanting to become a fighter and a professional fighter at that. What kind of advice would you give to them? You know?
Like one of the things would be, I mean, there's quite a few different things you could throw at them, but one big one would be, like we said before, about whether that gym be in your home country, whether it be in Thailand or wherever. Find a gym which you're happy at and stick with it. Ride it out to the point where it can either go no further or it's messing with you. You know, so stick with that. Stick with a good coach. Yeah, don't gym hop. That's stupid. Gets you nothing because you need time to learn. Don't worry about losses. Losses mean shit. It means nothing. It means nothing. Losses. I mean, of course, it means something, but it means a lot less than you think.
Right.
Losing means little. If you're gonna get back on the ball and keep training, keep fighting, that's what matters. Losing doesn't mean anything.
What do you think? Sorry, just want to touch on that. What do you think is the best way to, in your opinion, handle a loss? You know, like if you have a big fight and you don't win it, what's the quickest way to get yourself back into the winning streak again or winner's circle again?
Watch your fight, figure out what you went wrong, and where you're lapping, where you're laxing. So find a way to think about at least for the first few weeks. Find a way to not be focused on it. Find other stuff. If you have to get away from the gym for a month after that fight, you know, go do something else. Go play football. Go play something else for a month.
So pursue something else for a little while.
Yeah.
Just take your head off.
Even
your
if
mind
it's only
things.
a couple of weeks, go do something else, and then come back to it. You're not going to lose your skills quickly. You're not going to lose your skills. The skills are stuck with you. They're going to stay with you. It's just the fitness. But again, if you do another sport, then fuck, you're not going to lose your fitness.
Cool. So find a good camp. Where trainers have your best interests at heart. Stick with it, don't gym hop. You can do it a little bit at the beginning when you're still finding your spot, but once you found it, just stick with it. Don't worry about losses.
Losses don't matter.
Yeah, losses don't matter.
In this day and age, you want to be a big fighter, get on social media, promote yourself. No one else is. No one else is going to do it unless you've made them money. Unless you're making someone else money, no one else cares about you. If you're wanting to be pro. If you're just wanting to fight, cool, just fucking get in there for a blast and have some fun. But if you're wanting to make a living and do well, then you promote yourself or pay someone else to promote you, you know, because this is 2019, man, and a lot of the best shows don't have the best fighters on them because of that reason. Not that I'm saying it doesn't mean you're not the best fighter, but it means it helps. It helps get recognition.
It helps get your name out there.
It's needed these days. Do the social media thing. Not that I ever will. But I've only got a couple more years left. You know, so yeah.
Just to finish up, I just want to bring it back to you, Daniel.
No worries.
So we were just talking about this. Daniel's just recovering from an injury. He had a bone spur in his ankle, which turned into a huge disaster when he was squatting, doing some heavy squats for his last fight.
Self-inflicted injuries.
Self-inflicted. Long story short, he's had some surgery, got the spur removed. He's back on the path to being 100% again. And you've been training jiu-jitsu. Obviously, you've got a big striking pedigree, and you're looking to return back into MMA, right?
Yes, that's the plan.
When can fight fans expect to see you
Something's
back?
happening by the end of this year, for sure. Something, man. I've got to do something this year.
Okay.
But next year, in December actually, I'm moving back to New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've got a brilliant camp there, brilliant gym.
Whereabouts? Which city are you going to go to?
Dunedin.
Dunedin, okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the game back in New Zealand has leveled up a lot?
So much better, man. I mean, as the last 2 years, New Zealand now has like 6 fighters in the UFC. I think 5 of them are from the same gym. But
but still, just the level in general is just shot up.
In the rest of the country too.
Yeah.
And the understanding of MMA, and people with actual real gyms with the real equipment and all the cages and all the, so much better now.
So you're going to move back to Dunedin and got your fight camp there set up.
What they've got there now is amazing. I never could have dreamed that years ago when I left. So I'm real happy to be.
And what type of goals do you have for MMA? What are you wanting to do?
I want to fight on one of the big shows, man.
Okay.
Like, I know I'm too old to make millions and to win a UFC title, but I'm pretty sure I can get. I mean, I know factually, I know I can beat fighters in the UFC. I watch some of those dudes and I'm just like, oh god, you know, or on some of the one championships.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about how good you are; it's about promoting yourself. So
yeah.
In saying that, I've already had some good offers to fight on some of the biggest shows in Australasia.
Cool.
I just haven't been able to for injury reasons.
Yeah.
But that's because I've had the background in Muay Thai and because I have a name in Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Even how small of a name it is.
Yeah, it's a big striking pedigree though.
Yeah. So
132 fights.
Exactly.
The
first MMA fight that I jump back into, it's not going to be a beginner fight, a beginner getting up the ranks fight. It's going to be fighting someone who's already well known, who's already, because some of the fighters they've put forward for me, like last year before this injury, there was a couple of good offers. So hopefully I can jump in at a pretty high, reasonable level. Yeah. Take out the first, knock out the first.
With a spinning heel kick.
With spinning heel in the first round.
Kick. Yeah.
6 in a row, and the UFC contract will come.
Boom.
All I've got to do is win my next 6 MMA fights in the first round, and then bang, I'm in the UFC.
Yeah.
And then win 4 or 5, and then I can get a title shot.
Easy.
Yeah, no problem. That's
it's yours, man. It's yours.
But something like that. But around those lines. Sick. The plan is a few good MMA fights. And get on some big shows.
And just how can fans follow your journey? What would be the easiest way for them to kind of like keep tabs on you and, you know? I know because you like to fly under the radar a little bit.
Very much so.
You know?
There's going to be news coming, man. People are going to see soon. And it's not going to be for me promoting myself either, but it's just going to be there, man. I mean, this is kind of me talking myself up to you, but nah, there'll be posters around. You'll see it.
Cool.
I can assure you that.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, all right, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, bro. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you back in action, man.
Thank you.
Can't wait, man, for those spinning heel kicks.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, man. Hey guys, Steve here. If you like the content, please don't forget to press like and subscribe to stay up to date with the most recent episodes. I'll see you guys on the next one.